We're now in June, and we have yet to have the Dragonflight Alpha talent trees that Blizzard has been saying are coming. We're hoping to get those before the Alpha actually arrives, but now that 9.2.5 has released and is out the way, hopefully we can anticipate these trees soon. So in this video, I'm going to be making just some suggestive notes of talents I would like to see. I'm not going to hard stand by everything I say. It's not like I'm diehard for every single one of these talents, but just some cool things that I'd like to see. It might change in time. I might make another one of these videos once we have the talent trees on things that I think are good or could be improved and how they might be able to be improved. So I might do another video once we actually have the talent trees. I've only been playing Feral Druid since Legion, so I fully expect that there's going to be some things that I miss out that you guys are absolutely diehard about, and I get it. I'm sure there's going to be an ability that we had in Wrath of the Lich King Alpha for 2 weeks that then got completely removed, and you guys are going to be like, Sai, why did you mention this ability? I don't know about it. So there might just be some things that I miss off. That's totally cool. Let me know in the comments if there are some really cool things that you would like to see or some things that I didn't mention. Whatever it may be, let me know. Okay, so in no particular order for this video, I wanted to just quickfire run through a couple of these abilities that I would like to see. So first and foremost, I'll start with Leader of the Pack. It is something that for the longest time I was very against coming into the game. The way I saw it is from a raid perspective. If we gain Leader of the Pack, then all we're doing is pushing another spec onto the bench, right? We're just taking somebody else's spot. That doesn't help balance the game, in my opinion. It just helps us. It doesn't help any other spec. So I'm kind of against that because then somebody else just has to be in the position that we're in. In an ideal world, I would like to either have everybody have a unique buff for the raid or nobody have a unique buff for the raid. I'm definitely happy for nobody to have one, but if we are going to have one, Leader of the Pack is a good choice. Number 2, again in no particular order, would be Innovate. It's something that a lot of people seem to want whenever I'm pugging in keys. It's nice in raid and whatnot, especially if you're playing with Mistweavers. It's not something that I've ever really truly felt the value of. It's never felt necessary to me, but if other people want it and it's going to get us into keys or to raid, then I'm all for it. Give it to us. I'll take an Innovate. That's all I really have to say on that one. The next one would be Savage Roar. It's a talent that we already currently have, but it just can't quite compete with Soul of the Forest at the moment. It is getting playtime in one of the Necro builds, the Beekeeper build, so it is being played in some capacity, but I would like to see this return to being the just baseline best option to take. They can either make it baseline, they can put it in as a talent. I'm happy with either, but I would like for it to be an option on the tree. I do like having this additional maintenance thing to do. In itself, it's just something that you reapply once every 30 seconds or so. But I think it helps separate the really good players from the okay players because you'll have higher uptime on it. And with everything else going on, I think it's just a cool ability to have. I really like the sound effect that it makes as well. It sounds really great when you choose. The next thing would actually be something from our tier set. I want to see Sickle of the Lion continue. I want to see it as a talent, as an option. I think having burst AoE potential for Feral, particularly as a bleed, is really good because it does two things. One, it satisfies the crowd of Feral Druids who are like, it has to be bleed based. They'll be happy because our damage is coming from a bleed. And 2, it enables a lot of gameplay that Feral Druid has lacked, which is burst, right? We've always been this very slow, methodical build, and I'm happy for us to still be that, but I think having access to this burst potential periodically is really good. So it's good for Mythic Plus. I don't know really how it's playing out in PvP, but that's okay. I'm not a PvP guy. In terms of in raid, I think it's really good for things like Anduin, where you're on the Remnant of the Fallen King, and bam, you have access to that burst damage, particularly at that point. I think it's just a good ability to have. The next one would actually be something that we had quite recently in Legion, Shadow Thrash. I'll be honest, it's not great. Thrash has a 25% chance to release part of Ashermane's soul, causing all nearby enemies to take 1,500 shadow damage over 2 seconds. It's not really a great ability. It wasn't amazing. But I just kind of liked it. There was something, for me, that was just kind of cute about it. Something thematic. You just see that purple Thrash, like, tick, and it just felt like we had more from Thrash than we currently do. At the same time, they could probably just buff Thrash a bunch and that'd be fine too, but it felt like Thrash was maybe more meaningful. And generally, it was just a cute ability to press, or to have occur, a cute effect to have occur. I kind of liked it, so I'd like to see Shadow Thrash back. That's that. The next one would be Primal Wrath. This is something that I think at this point should probably... A lot of people say it should be baseline, and I get that. I'm cool with that. But then at the same time, we already have one absolutely dead talent in our row. If you make Primal Wrath baseline, then you have to have another talent that fits in somewhere, and then are we taking Brutal Slashing Keys instead of Swipe, and I don't know. I am down for Primal Wrath to be a talent, because obviously we're removing some of these other things, so we can just have Primal Wrath standalone as a talent, throw it in. I think it's mandatory right now, right? You cannot go into dungeons, into Mythic Plus these days and not have Primal Wrath. There are certain raid bosses where you just cannot afford to not have Primal Wrath. Again, something like Anduin's really good. Something like Prototype Pantheon, it's quite good. Anything where there's this consistent AoE cleave or mass AoE, Primal Wrath is just so good, and it basically enables us in Mythic Plus. If we didn't have Primal Wrath, we just wouldn't be able to play the game. So Primal Wrath is a massive, massive necessity for me. The next one, kind of like Wild Charge, kind of like Soul Shape, it's Displace a Beast. I would like to see Displace a Beast come back. I really like that ability. I think a lot of people did. I'm happy for Soul Shape to maybe linger. It works similar enough in essence, but I would like to Displace a Beast. It used to put you in stealth and everything, and yeah, it's cool. It would put you in cat form as well, which is really good. So yeah, I'd like to see Displace a Beast come back. The next one, and we're almost done here, is Force of Nature. Force of Nature is trees. I would like to see us have trees. You can put it on the class talent tree, not just specifically the feral talent tree, but if it's there, if we're able to get it, and balance or feral could take it, then that's cool. I'm happy with that. I think it's better if a DPS has it. If you give it to Resto Druid or to Guardian, I think it's too strong, so maybe it would have to go in some kind of spec tree for Feral and Boomkin. I think that it enables you to say, hey, I mean, it's useless in Raid, right? But in Mythic Plus, it enables you to say, hey, we need a Druid DPS. Rather than, we need a balanced Druid. You've now just doubled the amount of people that you could potentially pull from. And I think that that's like a unique aspect of Druid that you can grab. And yeah, I think it's only fair that Feral Druid has it as well. The next one is, or the last one here, is Adaptive Swarm. I think Adaptive Swarm is something that a lot of people are really big fans of now. We've seen a lot of people playing this Beekeeper build, and that's really been popping off. People seem happy with it. I like Adaptive Swarm. I think especially the fact that Convoke, which it's been confirmed is going to be in the talent trees, by the way, for Druids. Convoke is going to fall off a lot because of us losing Nia and losing our mastery gain, which we get 400 mastery whenever we Convoke. Plus we have Conflux, which increases all damage done for 4 seconds. Plus we have Convoke on a 1 minute cooldown. Right, we're going to be losing all of those things, so Convoke is going to lose a lot of its impact, even though it's going to be continuing on, unless they make some kind of edits to it. But Adaptive Swarm, I think, is a really good talent, or a really good potential talent that could continue on, and allows that bleed style build that so many people are chasing. So yeah, happy with that. So now just to go through a few things that aren't necessarily like related to talents, just a few like quick fire round things that I would like to see potentially coming through. So a lot of them are legendaries. I think Frenzy Band has been quite effective in parts. I think the bleed element of it is quite cool if you're going into like Mythic Plus and you're swiping around. It's also really strong on single target. So Frenzy Band has been cool to play with. I think Apex is really fun as well. Really, really cool when you get that little proc and you get that little feel-good chemical in your mind that gets released. So that's quite good. Circle of Life and Death. Cat-Eye Curio could make a feature. Absolutely. Those are like the main ones, really, I think, that could come through. And, yeah, so I'd like to see some of those legendaries get thrown in some capacity. And then, lastly, really looking at some of the Azerite traits that we had. So, something that I would like to see, not even in Dragonflight, but even right now in the current iteration of the game, is Blood Mist. I think Blood Mist is quite cool when you think about how, with our Berserk, how we have Sickle and things like that. Right, so if you look at Blood Mist, Rake deals 185 additional damage over its duration and has a chance to grant you Berserk for 5 seconds. That is pretty cool. Imagine if you had, and you could tune it so maybe you only get like 4 seconds or 5 seconds of it or something, not the full 10 seconds, but imagine if you were able to proc your Sickle of the Lion, not just from your Berserk, but then like procking into a Berserk, and then you can proc a Sickle, and you cannot guarantee where it's going to occur, but you can like line up for these really cool moments of potential increased AoE damage, increased burst, where it's not just like, right, I'm waiting for my cooldown, oh, I finally have some damage, okay, now I gotta wait another minute and a half to 2 minutes or whatever, right? Imagine if we had this chance to potentially proc it. I think the interesting element of it is that it would change up the gameplay potentially as well, where instead of in AoE just blanket ignoring Rake the majority of the time, you would have moments where maybe you're trying to fit in these Rakes as much as possible as well. And I could see moments in Mythic Plus where you're positioning in a way and where the tank is grouping mobs together, where you're trying to Rake spread as best you can, and then going into your regular AoE rotation and trying to get procs based off that. That would also couple nicely with Convoke. If you Convoke and you Rake spread on a few mobs, that could also passively help try and trigger this effect. I think it's kind of cool. Yes, it would need to get tuned accordingly. It would be really, really strong if you could proc it like 2 or 3 times in a pack. It would be way too strong, way too busted. You'd maybe do like 30k overall, like a Warlock or a Hunter. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Let me know if there's anything that you feel like I really missed off, or anything that just you want to pose that would be good to see on the talent trees. Hopefully we see them soon. I will do an updated video as soon as we get those. And yeah, thank you so much for watching.